go. I'd like to call this meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7 p.m. Please stand and join me in a salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So at this time, I'd ask Mr. Withers to take a roll call attendance.
If present, say here. Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Here.
Mr. Conti. Not yet. Mr. Waterman.
Here.
Vice President Jackson.
Here.
Mr. DILISIO.
Here.
Mr. KOBUS.
Here.
Ms. Dolan.
Here.
Ms. Reynolds.
Here.
And Ms. Holmes.
Present.
And President Cooper.
Here.
10 are present. Mr. Conti is not present, but we expect him at some point.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes. Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS.
Yes.
Mr. DILISIO.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti. Oh, sorry. Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. We are operating under suspended rules. We are, I don't know if there's anybody else online this evening, but it's good to see all of you in person. Thank you for the rapid fire emails and telephone calls or anything else that you might have received today, because we were trying to figure out how we would get 6 of us safely in this room and still be able to operate and have individuals join remotely as well. So for this week, we will operate in this hybrid mode, and we'll see what happens with the pending legislation and what any impact that might have to our ability to function in some type of hybrid capacity. And we'll let you all know as we get into the beginning and end of this week or beginning of next. So just be on the lookout for that. At this time, we'll go to the public hearings, and Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the first public hearing this evening?
This is a public hearing regarding a National Grid / Verizon request to move a pole and install another at West Street and Rocklawn Avenue.
Thank you. Is there anyone, I don't have my, that's what I'm gonna have to do.
Oh.
I learned something. In order to do the hybrid thing, I'm gonna have to bring my computer so I can see who else is online at the same time. Can you see anybody else? Any other participants? Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna go through is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Thank you. Seeing none, Councilor Jackson, do you see any reason to keep that public hearing open?
I do not.
Thank you. That public hearing is closed this evening. We can move on to the second public hearing on the...
It's a public hearing relative to a National Grid request to install 2 heavy-duty hand poles and 2 to 4 inch of conduit from pole 730 to pole 732 at Highland Avenue.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Again, Councilor Jackson, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing
President
open?
Cooper.
Thank you. That public hearing is also closed this evening. Moving on to the third public hearing this evening.
Yep, public hearing regarding the approval of the solid waste fee of $251 for fiscal year 2022.
Thank you. It's 25106. Just.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Thank you. And I see. I know that Jeremy and Jessica and Dr. Quinn were joining. So Jeremy, we'll let you go first and let me know who from the administration would like to address the council first on the solid waste fee.
Thank you, President Cooper, and thank you, members of the Municipal Council. We have a solid waste fee in front of you of $251.06, which is an increase from last year of $234.12. That is split $190.62 to the general fund and $60.44 to the revolving fund. This is year 2 of a 5-year contract with waste management. And as we discussed in our budget hearings with Chairman DILISIO and the budget committee, this fee supports the entirety of the solid waste program, from the collection and the tonnage, the staff that's on the program, operation of the recycling center, bulk pickup, grinding, hazardous waste. Every part of the program is supported by this fee. It's not supported by taxpayer dollars outside of the fee. And like I said, this is year 2 of a 5-year contract with waste management. We have Dr. Queen, Jessica Horsman, our health agent, and Jessica Santos, our solid waste administrator, on the call here with us tonight to answer any questions from the municipal council that haven't been addressed yet or we'd like to address.
Thank you. Any questions? Actually, is there anyone else, Dr. Quinn or Jessica Squared, that want to provide any information to the council, and then we can go to questions? All right.
I think, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you very much for having us this evening. Jeremy gave a very quick and overall view of the fees, but we're definitely here to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions from the council at this time? Councilor Blair.
Just a quickie. How is the bulk items being picked up? How's that program working out with it paying the $29 and whatnot? Any adjustments to that?
We haven't made any changes to it. It's staying the same. So all the services will remain the same to the city as they were last year. We have not made any further changes to that program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions for any member of the administration at this time? Any from Council KOBUS?
Do we know, so this is the first increase of the 5-year contract that was negotiated last year. And so it looks like we're seeing roughly a 7% increase in the cost, if my math is right. Do we know what do the increases look like over the next 3 years? Do we know what, in order to sort of keep going with this contract, what that's going to look like? Just, are we going to see similar 7% increases each year? I know the ship's already sailed with the contract, but I just want to know roughly what that increase is going to look like.
So Jessica, while you pull that up, Councilor Roberts, if I can. So the increases that we see year to year are driven by a couple of different things. So we have our base collection fee, which this year is $1.7 million. Next year will be $1.9 million. So that $200,000 increase will be about $13 or $14 on the fee, depending on the number of households that we have. And that is agnostic towards changes in fuel surcharge, changes in prevailing wage, changes in wage schedules for city employees that are on the program. So I don't have the math in front of me percentage-wise, but on a collection-wise, we can probably see about a $13 or $14 increase next year. Like I said, agnostic of those other factors.
Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. Jeremy, I was under the impression that the part of the increases were in fact due to increases in the prevailing wage. Am I misremembering that from the budget hearing?
No, I'm perhaps not being specific enough. So the increase in the fee is driven by all of that, right? We have increases in prevailing wage year to year. We have increases in the contracted collection fee year to year. We have increases in fuel surcharge. So I was just trying to give a baseline as to the minimum increase that you can expect next year, just based upon what we know right now. And then the increase that we'll see in out years will key off the prevailing wage, fuel surcharge, and other factors like that.
Thank you. Thank you, President Cooper.
The base increase that we're talking about, out of the $16.94, the increase this year, $13.06 of that was directly attributed to the base services, just the vehicles to come to the city. Things like prevailing wage and the contamination rate were in the additional $3.88 that compromised the total of $16.94.
Okay. Council KOBUS, did you have another question?
So my question was more, we have the contractual amount that this is going up, the prevailing wage, the fuel costs, and that should roughly be equal to inflation, though. In theory, we should see that as 2 or 3% year over year. Would that be accurate?
Yes, and 2 or 3% on those factors of the rate, not 2 or 3% of the rate overall.
Okay, fair.
Any additional questions at this time? Great, thank you. Any Councilors Dolan, Reynolds, or Holmes, any questions? Okay.
No.
Great. Thank you all for attending. And I don't think there's anybody else on, but I'm gonna go through the motions. Anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Thank you. Councilor DeLisio, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
Thank you. That public hearing is closed this evening. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
No.
On to public hearing number 4.
It's a public hearing regarding the approval of a water fee of $5.10 per 100 cubic feet for fiscal year 2022.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? I know Jeremy is sticking around. He's in it for the long haul. Jeremy, anything you want to offer to the council at this time?
First of all, compared to Chairman DeLisio's budget meetings this week, this public hearing is definitely not the long haul of this process.
Wow.
So I want to thank Chairman DeLisio for the opportunity to meet with all the department heads to discuss the mayor's proposed budget. So on the water enterprise fund, this year we're using $34,648 worth of retained earnings to balance the budget. It equates to roughly 2 cents worth of fee on the 100 cubic feet. So we're proposing a 4-cent rate increase, which all else equal would have been a 6-cent increase had we not used retained earnings. So it's the administration's position that rather than large increases years apart, we wanted to see small, more frequent raises in the rate to keep pace with inflation and wage pressures. So this 4-cent increase here represents a 7 to 9% increase over the prior year. And I want to make sure the council is aware that we're addressing the fee the same way as we were last year, where the first quarter billings, which has to do with consumption that happened in fiscal 21, will be at the current rate, and then the billings that have to do with consumption in fiscal 22 will be at the new rate, which is the approach consistent with how we did the rate increases for both water and wastewater last year.
All I have to say to that is hallelujah, and it's about time. Any additional questions or comments for Jeremy on the water fee? Jeremy, thank you. Is there thanks. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here neither for nor against? Seeing none, Councilor DeLisio, do you see any reason to keep this open?
I do not.
Thank you. That public hearing is also closed this evening. Thanks again, Jeremy. Since I suspended the rules, I'm going to go back to the minutes that I neglected to vote when we started. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 4th.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Waterman?
Here.
Vice President
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Go back a page here. Moving on to the reading of the mayor's communication.
Okay, this is fairly long, so bear with me. June 15th, 2021, dear municipal councilors. I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Council on Aging, Melissa Tucker, regarding the award of the fiscal year 2022 Shine Grant of approximately $94,107. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to approve the expenditure of such funds by the Council on Aging for expenditure during fiscal year 2022, and also approve any further grant amendments, copies in your packets, in order for this grant to become effective for July 1st, 2021, to pay associated salary and benefits for fiscal year 2022. I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2021.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veteran Services, Ben Quell, regarding the donation of $500 in Stop and Shop gift cards from Greater Boston's Veterans Collaborative. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept this generous donation to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Attleboro Public Schools Director of Finance, Mark Furtado, regarding a fiscal year 20 invoice from UMass Medical School in the amount of $1,248.75 that was not received in time to proceed to be processed in the normal fiscal year 20 business cycle. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to authorize the school department to pay this previous year's school bill. Copies in your packet.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Recreation Dennis Walsh regarding the need for additional funds to convert Owsley Field from an adult softball facility to a natural grass field for youth leagues. As you recall, your honorable body voted on May 18th, 2021 to fund part of this project. After review of all accounts to ensure that there will be sufficient funds for the remainder of fiscal year 21, this request is to transfer a total of $12,695.98 into the Owsley renovation account. These funds, coupled with previous transfers, will put us in a very good position to move forward on this important project. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $12,695.98 into account Recreation Owsley Field renovations as follows.
We can waive the reading of those accounts.
Okay? In order to be able to process this request for the end of fiscal year 21, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2021.
Public Works Committee, please.
For your information, the Historical Commission has appointed Erica McAvoy as an alternate member to fill an expired term to expire February 2023. Council confirmation is not needed for this appointment. I respectfully submit it for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Sandy Carter Brown, 21 Revere Terrace, to fill an unexpired term on the Disabilities Commission. Term to expire February 2023. Copies in your packets.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Fire Chief Scott T. LaChance regarding the need for additional funds for the kitchen renovations at headquarters. On January 5th, 2021, your honorable body voted to approve an appropriation of $25,000 for these renovations. Due to the 60% increase in lumber costs since the initial funding request, the bids for this project are significantly higher than your original estimates. A 10% contingency is included in this request. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $10,090 from account Fire Maintenance of Buildings to account Fire Renovations. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to process this request for the end of fiscal year 2021 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2021.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Park and Forestry, Derek Corsi, regarding the receipt of the Massachusetts Office of Business Development grant for Cape and Park Zoo. The City of Attleboro's Cape and Park Zoo has been awarded $166,666 in state funds to help support the Cape and Park Zoo in the areas of visitor experience, new equipment, exhibit refurbishment and repair, and to support the overall animal welfare and zoo operations. Although this grant does not require any matching funds, the contract states that all funding should be spent or committed by June 30th, 2021. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request that your honorable body approve expending of such funds in any future grant amendments. Additionally, due to the tight time frame we have to meet these grant requirements, I am requesting this approval to be considered an emergency measure. Therefore, in accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency. Copies in your packets.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
Excuse me. As you know, the city installed solar-powered rectangular rapid flashing beacons, also known as lighted crosswalks, in several locations over the last 12 months. In doing so, each location where the lighted crosswalks are installed, residents have a better sense of safety as they have an added layer of notice to motorists that a pedestrian is using the crosswalk. The success of these has led to more requests to deploy more of the lighted crosswalks in highly traveled locations. Therefore, I am seeking $41,295.96 to purchase 7 That's weird. 7, 9 solar-powered rectangular rapid flashing beacons for several critical crosswalks. The requested amount includes a 10% contingency. The locations are as follows: 2 at Council on Aging, 2 on North Main Street at Mechanic Street, 2 at Briggs Corner at the painted crosswalk. Note, more improvements are being reviewed for this Briggs Corner intersection that would complement these lights. 1 on South Main Street at Wall Street. There are currently 2 units, and this one additional one would make a total of 3 at this intersection, which is the goal after the sidewalk reopens, and 2 on Park Street at Sturdy Street. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $41,295.96 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account Public Works crosswalk system. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, a vote needs to be taken prior to June 30th, 2021.
It is 9. It's 9. Based on the locations, there's 9,
Yeah.
not 7,
Yeah.
Transportation and Traffic Committee, please.
Traffic and speeding related issues remain one of the biggest complaints I get from city residents. There are a number of interventions that we can take to educate, engineer, and enforce better traffic conditions. Solar-powered speed radars are one way to better educate the public of speed limits in critical locations and/or locations that are frequently reported by residents to the city that speeding is a problem. Solar-powered radars have also been deployed in the city in 16 locations. The police chief reported to me that he has personally witnessed cars slowing down as they approach the speed radar. I have also been witness to this effect on Newport Avenue. There were a number of streets that we deployed only 1 speed radar. It stands to reason that putting 2 in each direction slows traffic down in both directions in critical locations. Therefore, I am seeking $16,963.21 to purchase 4 solar-powered speed radars on streets that already have 1 in one direction. The requested amount includes a 10% contingency. The locations are as follows: 1 on Oak Hill Avenue near Ponce and Hewitt, 1 on Robinson Avenue, 1 on Lindsay Street, 1 on Locust Street near the elementary school opposite side of the school approaching the school. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $16,963.21 from account undesignated fund balance, free cash general government, to account Public Works radar sign system. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, the vote needs to be taken prior to June 30th, 2021.
Transportation and Traffic Committee, please.
I am seeking the council's support on waiving the building fees associated with the development of 37 Union Street. The pandemic and subsequent economic conditions that have followed the pandemic have resulted in an increased cost in building materials throughout the country. I support the waiving of fees associated with this project on Union Street. The city and the developer have come too far and have too much promise for the redevelopment of the Union Street district and the city center to stop the momentum. Additionally, because this would be a fee that is waived, that is associated with the pandemic, my administration is going to seek to replenish the waived fees with ARPA funds. Lost revenues due to the pandemic are a potential use of ARPA funds. However, even if an ARPA funds are eligible for use to replenish the lost revenues from waiving these fees, I still think that it is a worthwhile investment in 37 Union Street. The city is not financially worse off not collecting these fees. We are not actually losing an existing source of income. We would be just foregoing the revenues that would have still not have come to us even without this project. Additionally, the city center and Union Street district will be in a better physical and financial condition after the completion of this project, and therefore the city will also be financially better off as well. Lastly, I want to underscore that a company that is seeking to development in Attleboro is a company that could seek to development in another community. They are investing in Attleboro. I hope that we can continue to invest in their projects as well. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to approve the waiving of $100,000 of the building permit fee associated with this project at 37 Union Street. Copies in your packets.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Auditor Deborah Gould regarding unauthorized unissued debt. The city issued debt on May 13, 2021, after which a review of the general budget ledger and the statement of indebtedness took place. At the conclusion of the review and in consultation with the city treasurer, it has been determined that the following debt authorized and unissued should be rescinded. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body approve to rescind the following.
We can waive the reading of that. to the
Copies in your packets, and in order to be able to process this request for the end of fiscal year 2021 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2021.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Haru, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to the other communications.
Yes, we have a rezoning petition from Vela Inc. for 829 Newport Avenue, Assessors Plat 19, lots 246 to 252, and lots 254 to 255. A public hearing is required. August 17th, works per Attorney Mnuchin.
Thank you. Zoning and Land Use Committee, please, and also refer to the Planning Board.
Joint public hearing.
Joint public
Yes,
hearing,
please.
August 17th. Where am I starting with the roll call?
Can we schedule it? Is it okay to schedule it for a different day?
We could.
I would prefer that.
What day are you thinking?
August 3rd or August
We don't
30th.
meet first.
We don't meet. So we meet the 17th or the 19th. And we have to have the Planning Board.
Fair enough. Let's call for it then, and I'll just have the vice chair. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we have a motion for 8:17 for the public hearing. A roll call is required, and I believe begins with Council Holmes.
I believe so. Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delisio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
And we also got a letter from the Department of Environmental Protection regarding failure to take adequate action notice for 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. That's only an FYI.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Delisio?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. We are now in Committee of the Whole. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council on any matter of city business at this time? I don't think anybody else has joined the Zoom, and there's nobody here in the audience.
There is no one else left in attendance.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to arise.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. A roll call will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Delisio?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. There is no, oh, we didn't do committee reports yet, did we? Skipped right over that. Also, Mr. Withers, the record just should reflect that Council Conti joined.
Oh, there he is. Hello, Richard.
7:29. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
We sent you a message that you could have done this by Zoom if you wanted to, but apparently you didn't get that, and I apologize. I'm sure, I hear you. All right, thank you. We'll move on to committee reports, beginning with Council Blair.
Reporting Public Safety Emergency Management, excuse me. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to approve the transfer of $7,560 from account 12101-000-511000, police salary and wages, to account 12101-000-589066, police paving, to pave a damaged area at the rear of the police station lot.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
It's pretty self-explanatory. We talked about it
Thank you.
last week, so.
Roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. DILISIO?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to approve the expenditure of an anticipated receipt from the Public Safety Answering Point Support and Incentive Grant of approximately $165,733 for FY22 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, EOPSS, State 911 Department, and approve any further grant amendments.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments, Councilor?
No, also discussed in committee.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DILISIO?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to approve the transfer of $44,818.98 from account 121-01000-515020 police court time to account 11241-000-599000 citywide other finance and uses to purchase workstations, office materials, furniture, and any building supplies needed to set up several police department offices.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
Discussed in committee, Mr. President.
Thank you. Roll call will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Mr. DILISIO?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Got one more. I move to transfer $44,818.98 from account 11241-000-599000 citywide other financing uses to account 1100210499000 general fund continuing appropriation police department other financing sources which will be used in account 1100210582540. Excuse me. Let me read that number again. 1100210582540. Continuing appropriation, police department renovations.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
No, that goes along with the last motion. You move money from one place to another so you can use it.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DILISIO?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
I have no other business this evening, but would request a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Great. Thank you. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. Traffic and Transportation has no business to report this evening, but we too look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Capital Improvements and City Development has two motions to bring before the council this evening, but since I don't have my readers and they were not in my drawer, I'm going to ask my vice chair to read the motions for me.
Sure.
Richard, I got some for you.
I'd be glad to. I just brought mine.
I got an extra
You
pair.
want some?
No, I'm good. You can do it.
Hey, you could have tried these. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to approve the expenditure of a $19,500 grant from the Friends of the Attleboro Public Library with the Attleboro Foundation to pay for internet upgrades to the Attleboro Public Library. The approval for expending the grant includes any future grant amendments. The city would like to thank the Library Trust Fund and the USAC E-rate program for their generous contributions. There are no matching funds required by the city.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Council Conti, any additional comments?
Yes, Mr. President. The Friends of the Library are a very active group, even during the coronavirus. And their passion for the library is exemplified in this donation. A very strong group, and very lucky to have them, and I heartily encourage all councils to support this measure. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Mr. DILISio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And also from the docket of June 15th, 2021, I would move to appropriate $71,550 from account 1000-359000 and designated fund balance free cash general government to account 165-01000-585040 park equipment to purchase a 2022 Mooreback model 1922 chipper complete with a 165 horsepower gasoline engine, hydraulic front stabilizer, variable speed flow control, winch package, and hydraulic swivel discharge chute for the Park and Forestry Department.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments, Council Conti?
Yes, Mr. President. This Mobile chipper has been on the capital improvement plan so long that my committee thought we had already purchased it. And to say that it's needed is an understatement. This mobile chipper is twice as large as the one we currently have, capable of taking an 18-inch log and chipping it into wood chips. An impressive machine, and very speedy, and I hope we find a place to store it so we can keep it out of the weather. And I would heartily encourage my councilors to support this measure, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DILISio?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
And that concludes the business that the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has to bring before the council this evening. We look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Waterman.
Yes, and from the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to transfer $20,000 from account Health Professional Services to account Health Van Purchase towards the purchase of a Ford Transit cargo van for the Public Health Department.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
Well, we know that that's not the total price, but there is a grant coming in from the MAHB that will cover part of the purchase of this, and together with this $20,000, we can purchase the Ford van. I will mention that our city nurse, Jackie O'Brien, has been so gracious. She's been at least 2 or 3 years driving her own vehicle for all this business. And so it's high time that she gets her van.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor DeSimone.
Briefly, I would reiterate Councilor Waterman's comments. The Health Department, in particular, Jessica Horseman and Jackie O'Brien have went above and beyond in this year. I think has more than demonstrated the need to have a vehicle of this sort. It's overdue, and I wholeheartedly support it, and I thank them for their great work for the past year.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes? Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Mr. DILISio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And from the docket of June 15th, 2021, I would move to approve the requested change to the Attleboro Public Library Employees Association Agreement as a result of the executed memorandum adjusting the second-year COLA to be in line with the other bargaining units. Fiscal 22 budget reflects this change.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
Well, I mentioned it last week, but the Library Association was the first association to meet and settle with their agreement with the city on a 3-year agreement. And for the second year of that agreement, they settled first at 2%. Since then, subsequently, all the other bargaining units in the city have settled at 3%. So this is to equalize them with the rest of the city bargaining units.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio.
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And finally, from the docket of June 15th, 2021, I would move to approve the appointment of Samira Ramos, 40 Orange Street, to fill an unexpired term on the licensing board, term to expire February of 2023.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
I believe we all had an opportunity to meet Samira, and I think she's going to be very dedicated, and she's qualified. She's prepared for this job she's undertaking.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS.
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And that concludes the business of the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee. We'll meet at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Vice President Jackson.
Thank you very much. Reporting for the Public Works Committee from the docket of June 15th, 2021. I move to accept the generous donation of paving work at Capron Park and money to buy 18-pin oak trees for World War I Veterans Memorial improvements. The donation of labor and money valued at $60,000 is from the Walsh family in memory of John G. and Nora Walsh.
Second.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. As I mentioned last week, this is an extremely generous donation, and a lot of us remember Mr. and Mrs. Walsh being throughout the city, and we can't thank them enough. So I'm looking forward to seeing this work done down in that Emerald Isle.
Thank you. Any additional? Councilor Blair.
Just a comment. I believe most of you have seen Jack and Nora walk in the park. They walked it all the time and really enjoyed it. I can't think of a more fitting tribute from their family to have that done in their honor, because, like I said, the times I've seen them walking down there were numerous, and they look to really be enjoying that park, so God bless them both.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor DeSimone.
I too would like to thank the Walsh family. I did not know them, but anything that involves trees at Capron Park, I'm all in. So thank you very much to the Walsh family.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Right, seeing none, a roll call will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio.
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes. President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to accept the donation of 37 plants and volunteer for planting at Capron Park from the Attleboro Garden Club. The donation is valued at approximately $552.55.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
Yes, the ladies actually have begun planting already, and they are perennials, so it's going to be easier for the park employees to care for them.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, our roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes? Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair? Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to appropriate $35,600 from the wastewater enterprise retained earnings to fund 3229 silo for the pressure wash and painting of the lime silo at the wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
Thank you, motion is in order.
As discussed last week, they've noticed a lot of rusting going on over there. It's been a long time since they have painted it, and they do need to upkeep that.
Great, thank you. Any, Council Conti?
So I've personally seen this silo, and I thought it was ready for the scrapyard when I saw it 3 years ago. I'm very happy to hear that it's finally getting the coat of paint it's needed. The material that it handles is very caustic, so the material that they're putting on it is to prolong its life a little bit longer. It's up on top of the roof, and it's exposed to the weather, and I heartily support this and hope my fellow councilors will pass this measure. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. I have no further business this evening for the Public Works Committee, but we'd like to call for a committee meeting at the appropriate time at the next meeting.
Councilor Delissio.
Thank you, President Cooper, reporting for budget and appropriations from the docket of June 15th, 2021. I move to adopt the following emergency preamble. That the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the city charter, section 2-9, subsection B, regarding the deadline emergency, which presently exists to accept the grant from the Massachusetts Office of Business Development for $166,666 in state funds to help support the Cape and Park Zoo, as it must be committed or spent by June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you, motion is in order. Any additional comments?
This is just so the next motion can be handled as an emergency. Long and short, Derek and Deb spoke about this at the budget hearing last week. This is a much-needed grant, as the zoo is one of the departments and one of the areas that took a real beating over the pandemic. This will go to support the zoo in areas of visitor experience, new equipment, exhibit refurbishment, repair, support the overall animal welfare in zoo operations.
Great, thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes? Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to approve approve expending funds received by Cape and Park Zoo in the amount of $166,666 from the Massachusetts Office of Business Development grant, and to approve any future grant amendments. This grant does not require a matching fund, but does have a use deadline of June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you, motion is in order. Any additional comments?
I have none.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to transfer $12,500 to honor the executed memorandum of agreement with the Clerks Association from account Citywide Reserve for Compensation 53rd Week 2. I'd request waiving the reading.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Additionally, I'd move to, these are separate. Well, we'll do it as one. Additionally,
Okay.
actually, I pulled them out as three separate last
Yeah,
night.
there was-
Yeah. Okay,
As Councilor Waterman alluded to earlier in his piece, there's a new contract which was reached. So given the uncertainty of last year, it was 0% for fiscal '21. 3% for fiscal '22, 2% for fiscal '23. Again, this is for consistency with all bargaining units. It's going to also help with paid time off. It's going to sick and family, other benefits as well.
Great, thank you. Any additional comments or
I have a
questions?
question.
Yes.
So we're taking these three separate votes, and who was the second on this one? I missed it.
Council KOBUS.
Thank you.
We voted them as 3 separate votes last night.
Okay, I'm all set.
Great. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, President Cooper. From the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to transfer $1,250 from account wastewater enterprise fund reserve fund for transfer to account wastewater lump sum retro.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
The same stands.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And finally, from the docket of June 15th, 2021, I move to transfer $750 from account water enterprise fund reserve fund for transfer to account water lump sum retro.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
I have none.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the council? A roll call will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That is all the business I have for budget and appropriations. Would like to remind the council we are meeting tomorrow at 5:30. We'll vote out anything that we can relative to the budget, and we'll also be finalizing the budget message. So we'll be as prepared as we can for the 17th, which is Thursday, when we vote the budget. And that's all I have. I have called meetings.
Already done.
Already done that for the next week.
All right. Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Council KOBUS.
Thank you. Reporting for Zoning and Land Use Committee from the docket of June 15th, 2021. I move to accept the donation of land located off County Street, Plat 134, lot number 8, 19, 20, and 21 from Dorrance Bristol Norfolk Realty Trust LLC. The subject property contains a land area of 1.88 plus or minus acres and is zoned single resident B and industrial. It should be noted that real estate taxes are current through the end of fiscal year 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
We discussed this quite a little bit last week. If you guys recall, this is the property on the heading down County Street towards Stony Lee Golf Course and Frank Mossberg Drive. It's that property on the right, and we have a memo from the city planner encouraging us to support this because it gives the city more control of the drainage on that property.
Great. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes? President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That concludes the business for the Zoning and Land Use Committee. I call for committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. Like the committee have voted this evening, and I look forward to a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Reynolds.
Thank you. City Property and Planning has no business this evening, but we would like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Holmes.
Thank you. Ordinance collections and legislative matters committee has no business this evening, but will follow the committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Council KOBUS, Special Committee.
Sure. Reporting for the Special Committee on Senior Tax Abatement. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I move to increase annually the amount of the gross receipts in whole estate, real and personal, as set forth in clauses 41st, 41st B, and 41st C by an amount equal to the increase in the Consumer Price Index published by the United States Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, for such year by accepting Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41D, effective upon passage.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
We discussed this last week during committee. This is essentially to add a cost of living increase to the to the minimum requirements for the 41C senior tax exemption. So this will allow this to increase year over year based on the Consumer Price Index. Spoke with the assessor. Our overlay is expected to be able to absorb this in the current year, in fiscal year 22's budget. So I encourage everyone to support it.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor DeSimone.
Yeah, I just want to I think it's a great program. I thank Councilor Dolan and Councilor KOBUS for bringing it forward. And this is the kind of stuff, these are the kind of things that add up. So this is another great thing to add to the mix. I appreciate it and fully support it.
Great, thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That concludes the business for the senior committee on the special committee on senior tax abatement.
Thank you. Councilor Conti, would you like to do special rules?
If I had something here, I would. Thank
Oh,
you.
you can't read it anyway.
I can't read it into it. I'll ask Councilor Waterman to read it for me.
Perfect, thank you.
From Special Committee on Rules and Procedures, from the docket of June 15th, 2021. This is quick, Richard. I move to dissolve the Special Committee on Rules and Procedures as it has worked through its charge and completed its mission.
For a second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Conti.
I want to thank the councilors that worked on the rules and procedures. It's difficult work. We didn't all agree on a lot of things, and to get to a resolution that we could all support was really very constructive, and I think it also built better relationships among the councilors. This has been going on for a very long time, and some of the major contributors are no longer with us. Councilor Denley gave us the backbone of the new rules and procedures, and I'm very grateful for it. I do think that the new rules and procedures will achieve its objective to shine a positive light on this council, and I believe that the restructuring of the rules will be easily digestible by new councils, and I believe that we now fall in line with some of the major judicial bodies in the state, and that's where we belong. So having witnessed other bodies our size and other cities our size, I have to say that we are doing a marvelous job, and I believe this will help us achieve even greater accomplishments, and that concludes my compliments.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. I agree, everybody worked extremely hard, and I think, we'd be remiss not mentioning Councilor DeSimone as far as her being such a wordsmith, and she worked really hard on it and made it easy to understand, and I just want to thank her for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required. I will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti? I'm sorry.
That's a yes.
Okay. Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Mr. Kobus?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. That committee is dissolved. Moving on, there is no old business. There are several items of new business, and for the first one, I will recognize Councilor DeLisio.
Thank you. I move to refer the following to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation to amend the City of Ordinances, Chapter 7, to change the effective date of paper straws and plastic container bans from 1/1/22 to 1/1/23 to give businesses enough time to recover from COVID-19. Plan for these bans to take place, co-sponsored by Councilor KOBUS.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Any additional comments?
I have a few. The nature of this is not to discredit the will of this council or the spirit of the ordinances. However, it is to recognize the effective restaurants and businesses that have asked for help in relief to get back on their feet after a long pandemic. The businesses we spoke with are not opposed to the ordinances, but with the sharp increase of supply costs, they are simply asking for collaboration with the city and a little bit of relief.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor DeSimone.
Yeah, I'm dismayed. I'm frustrated. I think that this body gave this issue a thorough airing. I think back to the public hearings that were held almost a year ago in October, at which time people were still present in the building and came in. Some of them came in to give comments, some were remote. I think about the discussion and the robust debate that we had about these issues. It may have been Councilor DILISIO who made the amendment to extend it to 23, I'm not quite sure. But I feel like this is disrespectful of the process, disrespectful of the deliberation of this body, disrespectful to the people who came out. And my concern is this: inasmuch as this needs a public hearing, can we be mindful of all the people who spoke in October? Or are we going to then have them all come back again to give their comments and support President Cooper on this issue? And I'm not quite sure how we can do that, because I want their time and their comments and their intentions and everything else to be respected and not to have to be repeated.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think we can talk about that in the committee before the public hearing even gets called, and talk to the solicitor about those that came to speak to perhaps give more written testimony this time in support of what they said in the past. I'm just sort of talking out loud at the moment, but I think we can walk that through and discuss that at the committee level and with the solicitor.
Thank you, President Cooper. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilor Conti and then DILISIO.
So I'm typically in favor of letting new business come onto the floor so that it can get debated in a committee. So I come from a similar place. I have the opportunity of seeing the numbers, and that the fact that the food tax bill in the city has performed so well seems to indicate that the restaurants aren't suffering quite as much as publicity would have us believe. In addition to that, the takeout business has really taken off and restructured that industry. So I'm willing to let it on, but expect a battle when it comes to committee, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilor DILISIO.
So, first of all, we shouldn't be really debating this because it's just about introducing it as new business. I do take umbrage with the comments from Councilor DeSimone about the disrespect. There's no disrespect intended. We're not arguing the merits of what this council and what the residents who came out and spoke in favor of the ordinances are. We're asking for relief to help people get back on their feet. As far as the comment about the tax, the restaurant meals tax, I expect better. You know that it was totally undershot last year. It was lower than it usually is. So to sit here and say that that's a reason why these businesses all of a sudden, because a flip is switched, a switch is flipped, and now they can just get back to normal. Restaurants did take out, they did 100%, because that's what they had to do to survive. Not to mention that they were also paying for the liquor licenses that they weren't using because they were closed. We're not arguing the merits of the ordinances. We're asking, the businesses are asking for help, because yes, it might have been people in here, but Councilor DeSimone, it was hybrid. And not everyone had the opportunity or the wherewithal to be able to get on. And that's the feedback. So at least we're having a discussion about it to give these businesses that we all go and campaign, business friendly, open the doors, and here we have a chance to help them, and now we're closing the doors in their face. Thank you.
Councilor Blair.
Just a quick comment. I've always said since we started with Zoom, they might be legal, but they're not right. And this will give these people a chance to stand at that podium.
Speak.
So I want to be crystal clear about what they're coming to talk at that podium about. What they're coming to talk at that podium about is the date change.
Correct.
And the date
Yeah.
change only, if they even get there. So just to be crystal clear, we are not rehashing everything that happened on these ordinances, because that's not what we're talking about tonight.
Correct.
What we're talking about tonight is a shift in the date that I knew I should have taken that stack of paper at home, that I feel like we did talk about a longer run out of it, and that was defeated by the council. So we need to just go back to it. Again, it is to bring it into new business. It is to assign it to a committee for study and recommendation, and I think, as we have done with other things that we may not have been in agreement with, we let that happen and we have that debate, and I think that is appropriate at this time from my perspective. Any additional questions or comments?
On Zoom.
Councilor Holmes.
Thank you. Thanks for saying it. So a no vote would be to not let the new business come in?
That is correct. Any additional questions or comments or any clarity needed? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes.
No.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Who did I miss? Mr. DILISIO, sorry.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Motion passes. That matter will be referred to the Ordinances, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. And moving on to other items of new business, for that, which there are 3, I will recognize Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper.
Thank you.
I move to refer the following to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation. To amend Chapter 10-4.11 of the revised ordinances to add an official stop sign to face northbound drivers on Extension Street at Frank Mossberg Drive.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper, and these comments will apply to the next motion as well, if I may.
Sure.
So I was contacted by a couple of businesses up on Frank Mossberg Drive about the on-street parking, which of course is allowed, but there's a stretch of parking from the corner of Extension and Frank Mossberg. People are parking from that corner all the way up to just about the cul-de-sac on the side of the road. Again, perfectly legal. The issue is that the way the cars are parked so close to the curb, the corner rather, it obscures the view of cars coming out of Extension Street. And having just driven up there on Friday, there's a lot of cars coming in and out of Extension Street frequenting Nova Farms. It appears from a little research I did that a lot of the people parking on the street are employees, of which I understand there's around 300. So there's a lot of people parking there. This stop sign would make the people coming out of Extension Street to have a pause because of the traffic coming down Frank Mossberg. Also, I understand that there's employees who work in that area who will walk down the street during the lunch hour, so it's also out of caution for the pedestrians in the area.
Thank you. So the 300 employees, I just have a clarifying question, is on Frank Mossberg Drive?
President Cooper, the way I understand it, and again, I spoke to a couple of people walking, and I said, whose cars are these? And the gentleman said, they're Nova Farms. I said, how many employees do you guys have? He said, 300. He said, but some of these cars on Frank Mossberg might also be Morin's. And he said, some of them there's auxiliary parking in Hurston. There's a company called Hurston, and there's employees parking there as well. So there's a lot of cars there that belong to employees and not necessarily the consumers. The consumers were going in, they get their stuff, they drive back out. And again, parking is allowed, no question. It's an industrial park, understood. But this is because of the increase in traffic, that the sight line be better and that the stop sign be there to protect both cars and pedestrians.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio.
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
May I? Thank you,
Oh, I'm
President.
sorry, that's, transportation and traffic.
Yes, yes, thank you.
And would you like that to be referred as well to traffic study?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 2, I move to refer the following to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation, extending the no parking to corner area from 25 to 50 feet on the southbound side of Frank Mossberg Drive at Extension Street.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments?
I would just refer to the comments I just made.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the council? Seeing none, roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Mr. DILISio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
And President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. Council
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, President Cooper. Lastly, I move to refer the following to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation. To review the city's annual legal expenses, including those provided by the city solicitor and all other legal services rendered to the city and its departments by other attorneys and/or firms. To determine if it is fiscally prudent to revise currently used methods or adopt a new method for securing said services.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments? Council DeSimone.
President Cooper, if I may, so this occurred to me as we were going through the budget process, and it not only involves the solicitor fees, but the other thousands of dollars spent on various legal services in the city, which as of June 8th is slightly over $400,000. And I don't know what the system is for procuring those services, so I'm curious about how that came to be. And I'm curious if there is a point at which it may become feasible to shift the model to in-house counsel or some other model. So I thought that this would just be an issue that would warrant some discussion and consideration to determine if we stay where we are or we do something different.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Council DeLisio.
Doesn't this already fall under the purview of city property and claims? Because I know in the past, since Sarah's had the city solicitor down, she's had the directors of budget administration down to discuss the legal expenses.
We're going to get there, because it's
Okay.
going to that committee.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. DiLisio?
Yes.
Mr. KOBUS?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. That matter will be referred to City Property and Claims Committee. Council Reynolds, as the first step in reviewing this, we need to, or would you please set up a meeting with the city solicitor to review legal expenses? If we need to do executive session that we've had to do in the past, that would be fine. If at that time, if she can't have the other groups, the other attorneys that have represented, if she could get a breakdown from them to provide to the council at that time, things like more sand and gravel come to mind, Schpack landfill come to mind, the attorney, the firm that represents the different unions, all of that in a package to present to the council, I think as a first step would be helpful. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
would you also include the school department?
We have in the past received that. Let's see what we get, and then we can take that next step if the committee decides that would be something they'd like to look at as well. Council Reynolds.
I can't really hear, it's pouring down here in South Attleboro.
Just started here.
It just started here too, Sarah. I'll call you.
Oh my God, yeah, it's pouring, so I can't really hear, so I kind of missed what you were saying, but I normally, I think you're talking about having a meeting, talking about the cost of the attorney, yes, no?
Yes, I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, I will tell you this, though, I've been reviewing them and nothing seemed out of whack, which is why I didn't have a meeting to begin with, but I'll review everything and give everyone a copy.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Any, did we vote that? Yes, we did. All right. one last thing on my list, if I can find it. I'm not used to all this paper. I'm dealing with my computer at home. Before we adjourn, remember, we have a meeting Thursday evening here for budget matters. And again, at this point, we'll need 6 people to be here in attendance. And we can do this type of same hybrid model. And then I will get back to all of you on what the plan is go forward after that. Before we adjourn, any questions or comments? Councilor Blair?
When we meet Thursday night, we'll have committee meetings first, so we can get some of this stuff out.
No, that'll be on the 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything that's left? Yes, Councilor Lucio.
So tomorrow night, are we still doing Zoom, or are we here for the committee meeting?
So you're not taking any public input?
Correct.
But I would suggest that the chair
Yeah.
has to be physically present according to and it doesn't say whether it's the full council or the committee.
I'll be
So
here.
just to be safe, I would do it from here.
Sure.
But other councilors can join, I would say, remotely, as long as you and any of your committee members, or anybody that wants to come for that matter, can come to the meeting here. Any additional, Council KOBUS?
I had the same question. I'll be here in person.
I think there's a
tomorrow
meeting, I think
for
there's
the committee.
a Conservation Commission meeting tomorrow night.
Council DeSimone, did you have a question?
Mine was the same as
Okay.
Council Copus's. I'll be here.
Okay, great. Anything else before we entertain a motion to adjourn? At this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. A roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Kobus?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are adjourned at 8:17. Good night. But I'm not staying. I'm not running out in this.
No, me either.
I gave you the
I'll
wrong.
wait right here.
Gave you-
Yes, sir.
we both signed.